Imagine living your life under constant observation, where every movement, every gesture, every private moment is monitored, recorded, zoomed in, and exploited. This is my reality. For years, I have been subject to organized harassment, covert surveillance, and media exploitation, a pattern of abuse recognized by United Nations and documented in OHCHR human rights reports. The harassment and excessive monitoring campaign against me intensified last year, 2024, when I found out I have been living under 24/7 intrusive and illegal surveillance and tried to legally stop it. Thus, this post details my experience of ongoing covert intrusive surveillance around the clock, psychological harassment, and the industrial scale misuse of private information, referencing UN recognized harassment techniques, insights for journalists, investigative journalists, policymakers, human rights organizations, human rights watch, human rights lawyers, politicians, and advocates. Industrial scale exploitation of private life. For over a decade, my private life has secretly been under constant, unlawful, and intrusive surveillance, racial and sexual harassment and exploitation, targeting both my private life and my loved ones. Hidden cameras captured intimate moments, including my personal relationships and private activities, without my consent. This footage had allegedly been shared widely across online platforms, pornographic websites, and even with the people I know, including my daughter's childhood friends, perhaps to humiliate her as well. I have strong circumstantial evidence of this and I will present it to the court. They may even be called to testify under oath, but she isn't aware of it. These entities profit financially while deliberately inflicting emotional distress. Even my daughter has allegedly been targeted, demonstrating malicious intent extending beyond myself. They even keep implying that they are also exploiting her. To cause me additional distress, they use a range of psychological tactics, illegal surveillance techniques, and media exploitation to intimidate, control, and humiliate me. Despite ongoing pending legal actions, the harassment has escalated, showing malicious intent and deliberate obstruction of justice. I am sharing my story publicly because silence allows them to shape the narrative, especially when they are high-profile individuals, tech executives, or institutions with reputations to protect. Despite anticipated legal actions, these variations continue unabated, leaving me with no choice but to go public to protect myself and highlight the broader injustice. Intent is unmistakable to humiliate, harass, and exploit me, and probably my daughter as well, for financial gain, even as I take legal steps to protect myself. These actions continue. My access to legal representation has been deliberately blocked, making it even more difficult to challenge this ongoing abuse. Daily surveillance and harassment. The harassment I face is continuous, 24/7, and involves multiple methods. Helicopter intimidations. Helicopters frequently fly over the courthouse, Kingspan Division, the Royal Court of Justice in London, on my residence whenever I attempt to access my rights, submit court documents, on the verge of initiating court proceedings, or contact law firms. Push notifications, emails, or phone calls timed to coincide with my private activities, such as using the bathroom, cooking, or moving in bed. Conditioning and signaling. Individuals wear specific colors, for example, navy blue, army green, to imply intentionality and perform specific actions like opening doors, leaving, returning, conversing, whistling, or walking past my window in sync with my movements. such as when I step into the kitchen, open the bathroom door to remind me I am being constantly monitored. Vehicle harassment. Cars and motorcycles drive past or accelerate at precise moments during my daily routines or just to make a turn in bed to signal constant, intrusive surveillance with the purpose to make me feel uncomfortable around the clock, knowing I am being constantly watched. Children's distraction techniques. Even children are used to create auditory hints, talking loudly to catch my attention at key moments. These tactics are not random. They appear deliberately orchestrated to instill fear, paranoia, and constant sense of surveillance, aligning with violations of human rights acts. Article 3, freedom from torture and inhuman or degrading treatment. Article 8, respect for your private and family life. Article 6, right to a fair trial. They just seem to try to violate all my human rights. Industrial scale misuse of private information. They have systematically exploited my private materials for financial gain and public humiliation. Unauthorized filming and distribution. Hidden cameras and surveillance devices were used to obtain private footage with audio as well. Media and film exploitation. My private materials and information have been allegedly shared with film companies, voyeuristic websites, porn sites, advertisement companies, tech platforms, social media sites, and auto media to produce content referencing my life, which is also a form of harassment on top of commercial exploitation. Unjust enrichment. These entities profit from my experiences without my permission while intentionally inflicting emotional distress, impact on family. Even my daughter has probably been targeted as well through voyeurism and share private material showing malicious intent beyond myself. These actions constitute harassment, invasion of privacy on a global scale, and intentional infliction of emotional distress with a clear commercial dimension. It's an illegal enterprise that they don't want the public to know. Documented harassment techniques recognized by the UN. What I have endured is not an isolated or localized situation. The Office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, OHCHR, has itself published detailed lists of harassment techniques used globally against victims of covert surveillance and organized stalking. These methods are documented as forms of psychological torture and community-based harassment. According to the OHCHR's report, Harassment Techniques, OHCHR.org, such tactics include 1. Surveillance. Victims are persistently followed electronically and physically monitored 24/7 and subject to phone or computer hacking, including phone tracking. 2. Profiling. Intimate personal data is collected illegally, often by trusted individuals or partners, and later weaponized to exploit emotional weaknesses. 3. Conditioning. Victims are sensitized to specific triggers such as caption, color patterns, hand gestures, or car headlights, which are then repeated to induce fear and hypervigilance. 4. Sound campaigns. Abnormally high noise levels are directed at victims using cars, garbage trucks, shouting, or directional speakers to disturb peace and create psychological distress. 5. Sleep deprivation. Victims are deliberately woken multiple times per night or kept awake for extended periods, impairing their ability to function and discrediting them as unstable. 6. Baiting and entrapment. Harassers provoke victims into defensive reactions or minor offenses, later used to criminalize or discredit them. 7. Gaslighting. A form of psychological abuse that distorts the victim's perception of reality, undermining their confidence and mental stability. 8. Black bag jobs. Covert entries into victims' homes with items moved or tampered with to induce self-doubt and fear. 9. propaganda and disinformation. Online misinformation campaigns spread to discredit victims and frame them as delusional, while false support groups are created to further isolate, manipulate, and gaslight them. 10. Simulated mental health symptoms. Harasses mimic or induce behaviors designed to make victims appear mentally ill, ensuring disbelief and institutional neglect. These methods are well-documented human rights abuses and are therefore not isolated incidents. Similar tactics have been reported by other UK survivors and other victims around the world. For example, another UK survivor of covert surveillance and organized harassment has confirmed that perpetrators use everyday stimuli, cars, clothing, cups, phones, to create hypervigilance, fear, and trauma. This matches the tactics used against me daily, including color-coded clothing, spitting, and staged public messages. Call to action. I am sharing my experience to urge journalists, policymakers, and human rights organizations to 1. Investigate organized harassment networks. 2. Protect victims from illegal surveillance and exploitation. 3. Ensure perpetrators face legal and ethical consequences. Living under 24/7 intrusive surveillance and having private life exploited for profit is a violation of human rights, a form of psychological torture, and an urgent social issue. Public awareness is the first step toward justice. Conclusion: the combination of illegal surveillance, psychological harassment, and media exploitation represents a severe violation of human rights. By sharing my experience, I hope to 1. Raise awareness of organized harassment campaigns. 2. Provide a roadmap for victims to document and publicize abuses. 3. Encourage policymakers, journalists, and human rights organizations to investigate, intervene, and prevent these abuses. These are not isolated incidents. They are part of a systematic abuse of power with both financial and psychological motives.